All right, what's the thinking today? Well, the thinking today is always starting with the day chart. And we have an interesting situation here. The price has come above all the moving averages again. First, it's down here and it's bearish. Now, it's popped up again above all of them. However, we have a downtrend that it can't get over. So, it's not an A plus situation where it's above everything and going this way, but it is above all the moving averages. I say as long as it stays above previous day's high, then we have a chance to stay bullish. Previous day's high, that big candle that formed yesterday, as long as it stays above the high of that day, but it's going to have to press through that trend line because it's a tight squeeze right now for that. So I'm bullish, and I need to see let's see what the 15-minute chart, 10,000 tick chart is saying. Everything's bullish on those charts, so there's no reason. Here's a 15-minute chart. No reason not to go bullish, and that's what I'm going to do. Let's see if I get a good setup here.
Close that gap.
All right, I'm going to go long. My stop's going to be underneath the pivot level that was created for the test of the previous day's level, and not the low of the day. The low of the day is here. My stop is under here. And it's not quite $250 for the micro, so it's not my full maximum daily stop loss. I want to kind of see what would I be able to go. It's so close to, I'm not quite there down here with the full stop loss for the daily overnight low. I'm going to hope that this is the low that saves it. So that's where I'm at right there. We went long, and I'll let you know how it goes. Okay, it has gone from a bullish to a bearish at the open. You see how everything is above the moving averages on the 10,000 tick chart. Got long here. There was a trend line break going down this way that got faked out. Let me put it in there so we can see on the video. And what happened was it was a fake breakout. Bell opens, comes down to this pivot. It hasn't gone lower than that yet, but it does have all prices underneath the moving averages. Okay, and the 8 crossed under the 20. So it's not a strong buy. Right here on the 15-minute chart, you can see it was bullish right here. Fake break, comes down at the bell. Stop is underneath that pivot right there. It hasn't quite gotten there yet, but I think it might. That was $177. And the question is, do I want to extend it to my full maximum loss of $250 all the way down here? Unfortunately, it's not below that pivot, so you know it could be a bad thing to extend it to my maximum loss for the account. We'll see what happens. Sometimes you just don't quite know where to put your stop, but that's what happened. That's where we're at right now with this trade. Let's go back and look at the day chart and remind ourselves why we were bullish and where we might have been wrong on that. Bullish because it's above previous day's level. Bullish because it's above all the moving averages. Cautious and skeptical because it's hitting a trend line. We knew it wasn't the highest quality trade setup. Therefore, being patient and waiting would have been a good idea. And when there's conflicting messages, that's when we get into trouble the most, I think. It's not as clear. We don't mind being wrong, don't mind losing. When everything's telling us A plus, go for it. When there's a B plus setup, there's conflicting messages. Short and long messages are kind of hitting at the same time. So that's what we're at. Got long on it in that situation and paid the price. So far, we're paying the price for. Okay, it makes sense to reduce my risk, especially in light of the decision to get in the trade when there were conflicting messages. I don't need to take a full $250 limit on this. And also, now that it's put in this double bottom W pattern, now if it breaks it, it's too choppy for me to stay in, and it's definitely not going the way I want, and I'll be glad to get out of the trade. So that's where I'm going to get out if it comes back down and stops me out, and spare a little bit of my daily loss limit. It's just not the best trade setup. I don't like having to get in the date on the day chart. Yes, it's above, it was above previous day. Yes, it was above the moving averages. But then you have this trend line up here where it's already starting to come back down. And when it's starting to come back down, this is where it was starting to come back down. Still bullish though. You know, fake breakout there, fake breakout there. And then that's where I got in right here. I guess it's just, there's no way of really avoiding it unless you just say, you know what, the day chart's not 100% A plus, so just don't take the trade, right? And then now it's making lower and lower and lower and lower and lower highs. It is a little bit substable here and a little bit higher here. It could potentially bounce, but I just don't want to be in the trade anymore. I'm ready to get out of it and take my loss like a man if it comes down, and then really meditate on why I got into the trade and really hammer that into my brain. One thing I notice is I feel like I got to take a trade every day, and to be professional, you don't have to take a trade every day. As if your system has been fine-tuned to where you have multiple strategies and multiple setups and stuff like that, then taking a trade, you can find a trade that fits your system because you have multiple setups. I don't have multiple setups that I would call A plus. I was taking a B plus setup today, and I don't like to risk the whole 250 on a B plus setup. So I'm going to get out. I circled an area where I should have gotten out. Right here, where it started to put pin tails in, consolidate pin tails. I should have got out somewhere in this area right here. I really should have. That's on this time chart right here. You can see I circled this area right here. I should have gotten out, and probably could have saved myself, $100 worth of loss. So I want to make sure I understand that in the video. Should have gotten out early. I don't have to hold it for my full stop loss. I did say that if it comes down here, that's where I was going to get out, but that's when it was looking bullish. When it starts to break down and look like a short opportunity, you just don't know. This could have held and went right back up, and I would look like a genius. And then you're going to feel stupid if it breaks right here and stops you out. Either way, conflicting messages on the day chart. Wasn't an A plus setup for me, and B plus setups are riskier. So let's see what happens. Okay, I closed it, and it may go up from here. It just swept that level. Now it may go up from here, which is always annoying. But if it does put in, if we could ever find the support level, I mean, it just looks like it's going to keep going. I mean, these green bars are very weak. The continuation with the red and momentum is strong. I'm going to get out and take my loss of $168. I still got a little bit to play with if I want to try to get back in it. And I may try to get back in it, but I got to ask myself, what are we learning here? Well, we're learning that we had conflicting messages, and I took a B plus setup, and I don't want to risk the whole 250. I'm glad I didn't. And did I even check? Here's the 4-hour chart. I probably thought that was, it was bullish, hitting some other kind of trend line here too on this one, and then of course the day chart. You got to combine all that stuff as a complete message or to get it right. There's a lot of different things to look at. Keeping it simple with pressure. Moving averages are pressure. Trend lines are pressure. Structure is pressure. And right now there's a lot of pressure pushing it back down if you look at all the different time charts on it. I'm glad I'm out of it. I kind of feel relieved that I'm out of it. And so to me, that's partial win. Getting out of a trade at your stop loss is winning because your system demands that you have a stop loss. And when you get out, when you're supposed to, that is technically a psychological and emotional win. All right, so if I do any more trading, I will record it, but I'm not sure if I'm going to. Okay, I'm going to practice my trend line break strategy in light of hoping for a bottom. I don't know if that's smart yet. It fell below. I better really think this through. It fell below previous day's high after hitting resistance. The 8 is still under the 20. And it's heading back down into the empty spaces that we can see. I don't even know if I could, because if it keeps going down and keeps going down, we're going to get a lot of trend line break fake outs. and trend line like this one right here. It wanted to go up, but it could be testing right here. And here's a trend line break idea. I'm just not sure if I should take it. I want to get it recorded on the video though and kind of see my idea where it breaks out of a trend line and it develops some testing on it, and then it springs up. I like that, but it could grind, obviously. I think I should just, let me just see the behavior of it right here. It might be worth a try. If it keeps bouncing off of it like that, it might be worth a try. I'd like to see that bounce off the trend line. The 5,000 tick chart in the top right, though, if it stays above that trend line, you know, you could just
Order
I'm going
filled.
to take it. This is a more like a B minus setup. This is a riskier trade. I'm going to keep my stop very, very tight on those kinds of trades. I'm not going to try and get a whole lot. So we have a risk right here. Let's see what it is. $50. Okay. And I'm willing to risk $50 on this right here. Let's see what happens. If I get a 1-to-1, that's great. That's all I'm really looking for. Price is coming back into this area that exploded up. So I like this. I like this little area for support. But it could easily just whip right down and stop me out. And if it does, this is another failed trade. I'll be getting real close to my
Order submitted.
$250 maximum limit. I really don't want to lose more than $250 per account, and grand total of $500 in all accounts for a single day. Okay, hit the 1-to-1. I probably should just close it. Sell market, sell market, sell market, sell market at the ask.
Order filled.
All right, I'll take it.
Order canceled.
I'll take the 1-to-1 because it's a B minus setup. It's not high quality setup. And we're down 123 instead of 168. Now, if this thing continues to go up and we get it back over the previous day's level, back over this line right here, then I will be interested in, it's got to get over this pivot right here too. Obvious. I want it over that pivot and over this line before I commit to any bullish activities. Otherwise, I may look for short setups, which are going to be my trend line breaks to the downside. Trend line breaks to the downside off of structure, resistance, moving averages, and trend lines that are coming this way. Hits that level, starts to break to the downside. That will be my short setup. And I may short this as well. I'm trying to develop other trading setups other than my A+ setups, which I love the most. A+ setups might come once or twice a week, sometimes every day in a week, and sometimes every day you won't find it and you might not even trade. So I want some other tools in my bag. I want to be able to take some B+ setups that are going to, now see, look, I'm really glad that I took that off the table. One thing I've learned when I'm taking a lower quality trade, get your 1-to-1 and get out. I have learned that the hard way. Doesn't matter if, oh my goodness, it kept going and I missed a whole bunch. That's rookie thinking. You're always going to find situations where you could have held it longer. Think of it as in terms of my super big plan here, and I have to stick to the rules of all my plans. So I would be break even on this right now if I went to break even. Once I get to 1-to-1 on B+ setups, lower quality setups, I move my stop to break even, and a lot of times on those I will break even if I don't take my, I've learned that over the course of years too, and I've learned it so many times. Just take your 1-to-1, and I heard a little voice in my head just telling me, just take your 1-to-1, and I'm glad I did. So it's got a lot to prove before I'm bullish, and I will be waiting to see if I can go bullish and keep it for a longer trade, I guess you could say. I mean, I might be able to find another B- setup, but I don't want to keep pushing it either. I want to let this thing work itself out a little bit. I'm just sit back and watch. It's a good idea. I didn't try to get super froggy on this and should be looking for shorts. I would have stopped out for a full loss on that trade had I not taken my 1-to-1. A lot of times these trades will give you a 1-to-1. All right, but now we're clearly turning red, and it's got a long ways to go down to this trend line down here, midway 50% of this candle, or even this pivot of 2 days ago. Plenty of area for it to drop. Let's see if it sweeps. Yeah, it sweeps Swept that pivot level. That's the overnight low. And it's got a long ways to go. There's another pivot level. Yeah, so I should be shorting this. Or it's going to put in a liquidity sweep from the overnight session. Overnight session right here, midnight overnight session. It just swept that, and now it's got a strong impulse wave back up, right? And we have all these trend lines that if it were to stay over the moving averages, here, come up, get over this pivot, consolidate, and start to push that way, it's back to being bullish again, right? So, but these are not A plus setups. Everything would be a 1-to-1, take profit, get out quick in either direction. So yes, okay, let's just say that our B plus setups can go in either direction in the same day. So we're not committed to a direction. A plus is committed to a direction for the day. B plus setups can be either or. And we're in a B plus day, and I don't think you're going to get an A plus setup on this. It may look like an A plus setup, but overall, the direction could change on you. And trying to hold for a 2 or 3 hour risk to reward on a day like that is, you might not get it. You probably will get your 1-to-1. So that gives it that's giving it a B plus quality. A plus setups, you would just want to hold for the whole day, let that thing just keep running because you've got everything lined up. B plus is conflicting messages, not everything's lined up. Grab the 1-to-1 and don't try to get more than that. Even if it does, you're not counting on it because of the, the orientation of the trade itself. All right, so I'm willing to go either way, whatever side looks best for that particular setup. And then I also just have to simply not trade. And I need to learn not to trade until I get a higher quality setup. I want to take a note on a good little pattern that I see all the time. And that is, well, we see it touching this trend line and failing. But when it gets to the low part, when it gets to like there's a trend line here and it does this little kind of consolidation, green candle and breakdown, that's a great spot to short, at least for a 1-to-1. So I want to measure that and see if I would have got in and used that green candle. Yeah, look at that. It would have came right to the 1-to-1, have my stop right there, have it targeted right there, and it would have hit. Even if I got in late, that is a great setup. It breaks the trend line. It tested a trend line, right? It breaks the trend line and it has a consolidation pattern, right? That's 1, 2, 3 reasons to get into this thing. On top of the the breakdown on the 15-minute chart, you got higher time charts to saying, hey, let's short this thing. It's underneath the moving averages on the 10,000 tick. So there's a lot of good reasons to short that. It's got pressure, had a lot of pressure up here, pushing it down. So yeah, short mode is good. That is a great setup. I like that setup. I need to keep my eye on. Let's see if there was any other ones like it. Where we have a trend line break. Over here is another trend line break. An M pattern. Got the M pattern right here. Trend line break. Didn't really get a green pattern, ignored. Right? Didn't get that. Not quite the same type of situation. Here we have something looking good. If we get a trend line here, and it looks like the trend line would have been up here though. Moving averages are all, price starts to consolidate under the moving averages, right? And let's just try to figure out where the stop would be on that. You get in, let's say you get in late. You want your stop underneath one of those momentum on top of one of those momentum candles. And clearly you got a 2-to-1 on that one. Yep, 2-to-1, almost 3-to-1. If we stayed in at 3-to-1. So shorting is the way to go here. If we can get price to come up a little bit more. Now, as long as it stays below previous day's high, which we see on the day chart here, previous day's high, you want if it comes up and fails, like if it goes over it, then puts up a failing and then a testing and a trend line break and all that, I think that would be a good setup. But if it's closing above it, consolidating and pushing up, we don't want to try to short. We want to try to go long actually on that. So I just wanted to get that in the video so when I watch, I can meditate on those setups in the future and take those babies when we see them. Okay, it looks like we kind of got that situation here where a trend line was broke. If these green candles are taken out, it's going to probably push way past that pivot and come down for a one. We can get a 1-to-1 on that, I would imagine. It might be a good get it up higher and stop out over the pivot. I like that B plus setup because you're getting a very small risk window. If it comes up higher into this area, get it and you're right out. As soon as it comes over the top, you're right out of it quickly, very, very quickly. So let me see if I can try to do that as well. Okay, I'm going to try to do it here. I don't know if my stop should be up here or right here. I'm going to do it just right here for a few dollars and see if it'll okay right here. It turned red. I got it on after it turned red. It's kind of trapped though in the middle of these moving averages, so it's not a crystal clear situation, but let's see if it goes back down. It did sweep that pivot there and it's coming back down. Hopefully it'll go. It's a lower quality trade setup. That's why I don't want to risk very much. So let's see what happens here. It's almost got me stopped out. That's 3 in a row where it goes higher, and it's got 1, 2, 3, and it's a lot of times that will be its sweeping technique. But hopefully it'll go down. We'll see. I don't let it stop me out and then go down. I'm going to move it up one more tick. We got a $33 risk on this. It's still dancing around, and I'm going to try to get 2-to-1 if it comes all the way down near this pivot level here. We'll see.
Order
Oh,
failed.
it got me. Okay.
Order canceled.
We stopped out for $33 loss on that. I think my intention was to do it up higher, and I did it lower right here. We got a bunch of pintails pushing up right here in a strong green candle. But I'm curious to see if it's going to actually work and how I could have played it differently. See how it's making higher highs each time? A lot of times that's a signal that it is going to reverse and go down. So it doesn't mean it's going to, but the grinding up higher like that in a bear market is a lot of times an indication it's going to go down. I was trying to wait for it to come up here and kind of get price to do it and turn red and jump up on it again. But I decided to take it a little lower this time. All right, here it goes with the breakdown. See if it goes all the way back down this pivot. I would have got 2-to-1 on it. It just kept inching its way up. I'm going to look for some kind of consolidation here and see if I can get back in it. All right, in this case, I got a sell stop order. If it breaks down and keeps going, I'm going to enter the trade. I'm going to put my stop. I guess it might as well be at the high of that. It almost triggered me in there. If it puts in a green candle and then reverses on a red candle, that's a better setup for me. And also something we want to be aware of is the failed sell-off. It couldn't sell off here. It's having trouble selling off here. If it goes over the top of that, it's probably this sell-off will be taken out too. So we're looking at a kind of a reversal of volume. And we might want to just hold off on all the short opportunities.
Order canceled.
So I'm going to close that out. It's a good thing I didn't get triggered in right there. And it's possible that we found the low of the day. It's possible we're getting a head and shoulders pattern here. It's going to take out that level there. The problem is, even as good as that might look, it's still below this line here where it broke down from the previous day's high. This is a very tough area. And I don't want to necessarily try to break out here and only go up to this level. I would like to see it break out over the top and give me a reason to continue up higher. That's kind of what I'm looking for. Or, we're looking for just to look for short patterns. Maybe it's going to range, and we're looking for any kind of weakness in this area all the way up to the previous day's level, all the way up here. Possibly looking for a range to short back down. That's also an option. All right, hopefully this trade will work. I'm looking for a breakdown and it might not have been a good thing to do. If this doesn't work, I'm going to have to rethink stopping for the day perhaps. But we'll see. This, all I need is a 1-to-1 on this. But it's kind of a big kind of spread here. So let's see if it breaks down. Let's see if it breaks down and comes down and keeps going. And that's what I'm hoping for. Okay, this is testing my patience. And I don't like being in markets like this. And I had a chance to get out on green. And that sucker came right back up here all the way, almost hit my stop loss. And I really don't know what to do. Just close it for a small loss, try to break even, or just hold it and let the trade play out. But look at this. This is unbelievably just consolidating sideways. This is the worst kind of market to trade unless you're a range trader, but I'm not mostly a range trader, so I might just want to get out of this trade and just simply break even as close to possible. I don't like this market at all. Okay, I broke even on it, and it may go down again. I do not want to be in this trade. Right now, looking at it now after I'm out, you can see that it's in between the 200 moving average, previous days or overnight levels, and it's sandwiched in between the moving averages coming down this way, so there's no wonder it's just chopping around. When it goes, it's going to go nicely, but I don't want to wait for it to go in anymore. I was wanting it to go earlier. I wanted it to go right here, and it popped up twice on me, and it's just bullhorning because it came down here and went below this level. It came up here and went below higher than this level, and that's just a nasty market. So I am done for the day. Down about $160 again, so it's better than losing a full day's loss on an account, and I just can't see myself taking trades in this. Yeah, so it's going to have to break before I do anything. So that's it for the day. I'll see you in the next video. Peace. Okay, I'm going to try one more trade here. $250 risk on a different account. I see too many failed sell-offs. It's failing to sell off. Right here, it failed to sell off, failed to sell off, failing to sell off, failing to sell off. So I'm going to try to at least trade it up to these highs here, or maybe even back up to previous day's high. We'll see what happens. I got a $250 risk on this thing though. Okay, I'm going to close it up here, right up here at the top. So we're going to close it. Let's close it.
Order filled.
All right, let's just play the range. If it comes back down, we'll buy it again. All right, I saw this test of previous day's level, and it turned red, and the second candle went up, and it also came back red. As soon as it started turning red, I got green, and we got plenty of return on that. Let me see how much I actually got on that. I'm curious now. My stop was above the high of that first red candle. So we got almost a 2-to-1 on that. Fantastic. Now it can go up and clearly keep going up, but that was the idea. Here's the previous day's high where it broke down and it's been down all day. This candle put in a wick and turned red. And one more time it attempted to go green and come down and started going red. And that's when I got in, and we got a 2-to-1 on that. Very happy that that worked. Okay, testing a classic retest of the previous day's high again. It had some displacement, came back down and went right back up. And when it did, it turned red a little bit. I got in as low as possible. It came all the way down, but didn't break that pivot. That's where my sell stop is, and we'll see if it works. Maybe we'll get a 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 on this little bounce right here. Maybe it'll go back up over the high of this. We'll see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and move my stop underneath that candle. If it just whips down and gets me, that's fine. I want to keep my stop very tight here underneath that candle. Hopefully it'll keep going up. We already got a 1-to-1 on it, but I'm really looking forward to getting a little bit more. Maybe I should keep my stop lower, but I like to cover my risk as much as possible.
Filled.
Okay, we broke even on it, and it makes me wonder, should I have kept my stop down here or not? You never know when it's going to do. Oh, it would have stopped me out for a full loss, so I'm glad that I did that. All right, so that's it for the day. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.